After that quick close-up of the cave, we meet two sisters, Abby and Beth. Ever since their mom passed away, Beth had practically become Abby's whole world. Things were chugging along, okay until they got the worst news imaginable. Beth had terminal cancer. Abby was absolutely crushed, but she'd be damned if she gave up. She started tearing through every possible treatment option until she stumbled upon a pharmaceutical company that had actually found a cure for terminal cancer. The catch: the treatment was insanely expensive. Abby didn't have that kind of money, and desperation forced her hand. She had to take a seriously dangerous job. She managed to land a gig as a geologist on the frigid border between Europe and Russia, basically hunting for uranium in the mountains. It was high-risk, life-threatening stuff, but the pay was fantastic, so she took it. Abby threw herself into the work, but they weren't finding anything. No uranium. Finally, she told her colleague they needed to go deeper into the mountains, into the dense forests. He flat out refused. It was too risky, life-endangering, and they were getting dangerously close to the Russian border, where they absolutely couldn't go. Desperate, Abby headed to this place called Kyra. That night, her dad called with more terrible news. Beth's health had gotten worse. Abby was also stressing because the company hadn't even given her a decent advance to start Beth's treatment. She knew the brutal truth. If she wanted the money, she had to find that uranium. So, the next day, she decided to go into those deep forests alone. Her colleague warned her about the wild animals and refused to come along, but she wasn't deterred. She just borrowed his gun and started her solitary trek. But then her eyes fell on a large, bare rock below her. It seemed like the sound was coming from it. She picked it up and immediately realized it was incredibly valuable. She was a geologist, she knew rocks, and she had never seen anything like this. Abby quietly brought the rock back to base, keeping it a secret from the company. She figured it was so valuable she could sell it herself and raise the money for Beth's treatment. Right then, her father called again. Abby dropped everything and decided to go home immediately. She told her colleague she might not ever come back. To get out of the area, she had to take a helicopter. Halfway through the flight, Abby noticed a strange object outside the window. At first, she thought it was a bird's wing, but as it crashed right into the helicopter, she knew it was something else entirely. She was knocked unconscious. When she woke up, one pilot was dead and the other was badly injured. She gave him first aid and frantically searched for a radio. The helicopter's comms were shot. Panic set in. She had to save herself and the pilot. She grabbed a map and compass. The nearest road was 60 kilometers away, a brutal journey in that weather. Night fell. Abby desperately tried to protect the pilot from the cold, lighting a fire in hopes of being spotted. But her efforts were useless. The pilot died before dawn, and no one saw the fire or came for them. Abby realized waiting was pointless. She gathered supplies, food, her gun, and a walkie-talkie with a very weak battery. She managed to charge it with the helicopter's battery, and that's when she heard a voice, a man named John. Amazingly, John's helicopter had also crashed nearby. He was near a lake and a forest. His condition was awful. He mentioned parts of his body weren't working, and his leg was badly injured. His communication system was also damaged, but the good news was that John had better supplies and a good radio. Abby knew with her battery and expertise, she could fix his radio and summon help. She checked the map. John was only 30 kilometers away, half the distance to the road. She decided to go to him. "You're making a mistake," John warned her. "The route is too dangerous, and who knows, my equipment might not even work." But Abby couldn't afford the 60 kilometers to the road. She had to reach her sister quickly. As they kept talking, Abby revealed she was a geologist. "Then you must have come here to look for uranium," John immediately responded. Abby was stunned. How did he know that? That night, Abby set up a shelter. Before resting, she pulled out the black stone. She was turning it over and over when, to her utter shock, it began to change shape in her hands. She tried to bend it, to shape it, and it obeyed. Confusion washed over her. No stone could do this. Was it some kind of advanced technology or an alien rock? The next morning, she resumed her journey. John kept trying to talk on the radio, but Abby snapped at him. "If we keep talking, the battery will die." She turned it off to focus. Then came a new challenge, a steep, seemingly impossible hill. She told John she couldn't do it. "I'll remember all the effort you put in for me and pray for your sister's speedy recovery." He then told her he wasn't recovering either, adding a cruel twist. "You can't save everyone." That lit a fire under her. She yelled at John, "I don't need advice right now, I need motivation." Abby started climbing, using her knife to find purchase. But at one point, her knife got stuck and broke. That's when she remembered the miraculous stone. She took it out, shaped it into a knife, and used it to climb. The stone was incredible, acting like a tool and an aid, propelling her up the mountain. When she reached the top, she saw that the descent was even worse. A precipice. A fall meant death. Thinking fast, she shaped the stone into a long rope and used it to climb down. As soon as she descended, John was on the radio. "The Russian border is ahead. If you go there, you will be shot on sight." Abby was terrified and was about to turn back when she accidentally slipped. The stone went flying and she went tumbling down the slope, severely injuring her leg. She quickly bandaged it and, with sheer determination, kept walking. As evening approached, she finally spotted a settlement. Desperate, she headed straight for it, but sadly, it was completely deserted. Exhausted, she decided to spend the night. She was starving, but the food she found was spoiled. She rebandaged her leg and gave herself a strength injection. In the morning, she heard noises and spotted a Russian soldier nearby. Fearing capture, she hid. The soldier was suspicious and followed her into the house. Abby had her gun ready. As soon as he appeared, she aimed, but the bullet was fired accidentally, hitting the soldier in the leg. Terrified, Abby took his rifle and demanded his bag. The shocking thing was that the soldier also had a stone similar to hers, one that could change its shape and perform different functions. Then, the soldier's walkie-talkie went off. The voice on the other end sounded exactly like John. Abby was reeling. How could someone speak to her as John and to the soldier as someone else? She realized the whole story was tied to the stone. She grabbed the walkie-talkie and demanded, "John, who are you and what do you want?" No answer. They were enemies, one European, one Russian, but they weren't hostile. They both knew they needed each other to survive. As they moved, the soldier's injuries worsened. John, still talking to Abby, started saying strange things, trying to instill fear in her about the soldier. Abby realized John must be connected to the black stone. Terrified, she ripped the stone from her bag and threw it away. In that same moment, the ice of the lake beneath the soldier's feet broke and he fell in. Abby tried to help him, but the ice gave way beneath her and she plunged into the freezing water. The cold was paralyzing, but somehow, with immense difficulty, she managed to climb out. She stripped off her wet clothes, trying to stay warm. In a fit of anger, she tore the battery out of the radio and threw it away, but she could still hear his voice. Finally, injured and spent, she fell asleep. In her sleep, she remembered the beautiful moments with her sister. A little while later, she woke to the sound of a helicopter. Elated, she gathered her strength, desperate to signal it, but she was too weak. Then, she saw herself standing near a car. Her mind gave way and she fell unconscious, rolling into a pit. The same pit we saw at the beginning of the movie. This pit held warm water, which slowly began to revive her. Floating in the water, she saw a skeleton, a dead man in a pilot's uniform with John's name written on it. John, the man she'd been talking to, was dead. Suddenly, several shiny black stones floated up and attached to Abby's body. When she fully woke up, she was in a strange, terrifying place where those same black stones were flying all around her in the air. That's when she heard John's voice again. He explained that 65 years ago, he came here just like her and got stuck. Abby finally understood everything. It wasn't an accident. The stones, which she now realized were either aliens or some unknown creature, had been on Earth for thousands of years. The helicopter crash, which she'd only glimpsed, was deliberately caused by them. They needed humans to survive, not by killing them, but by keeping them there willingly, just as John had surrendered himself to them. In return, the stones gave John a form of life, but not a human one. Now John offered Abby the same kind of life. She didn't want to be part of their system. She just wanted to return to her sister. The very next moment, she was miraculously standing in front of her house. All the hardship was gone. Her life was suddenly perfect. She went inside and saw her sister, but it was all a lie. It was just the aliens making her see it. When she truly regained consciousness, she was standing in front of her house's door. She opened it, and a blizzard was raging outside. She walked into the storm, the scenes blurred, and then, in a flash, we were shown that Abby had been rescued. She woke up in her friend's apartment. Without wasting a second, she rushed to her sister's side. She got there just as her sister was taking her last breath. The aliens had granted her wish after all. She had wanted to be with her sister in her final moments. The movie ends with this heart-wrenching emotional scene. Abby is there with her sister and her father, finally accepting death, just as John had told her she would. Now, she was ready for her sister's passing.